I create a very high volume of content, but I use that content in multiple ways. And I know for some people it's really hard to kind of see the forest through the trees. So let me break down some of the ways that I use a singular piece of content to use in different formats in different ways so that I'm not overexerting myself creating a ton of new content and just precisely, specifically, and strategically using one thing in multiple ways to save myself a lot of time, effort, and stress. Now keep in mind as I'm doing this, I am creating one centralized piece of content. That means I'm coming up with one concept for one thing and I'm just focused on that. Once I've created that, now I can use this in a variety of different ways. So you don't have to look at the big overall picture and get overwhelmed. You can look at the small nuclear part of this and then build it out from there. So as you're creating, think of one topic and one way you want to put this out in the world. Then you can worry about how you're creating the rest after the fact. So let's say I start with a post. Sometimes I will pull up a note on my computer and I will write a really good post for my Facebook page or for my LinkedIn page. And it's really well written. I've thought out all my concepts. I've written it in a way that's effective and engaging for people, and I'm gonna put that out on those platforms. But now I don't wanna just let that go. So now I'm gonna take that concept and I'm gonna create a video out of it. Now this can be a direct to camera video where I am just spitballing what I'm saying because I've already written it. I already know my points. So now I'm just gonna be able to talk about it however I want. I'm gonna freestyle it a little bit. But I can also take it and put it into a teleprompter and word for word say exactly what I wrote so that I say specifically what I wanted in a way that's engaging. So I'm now taking that content, that written content, and putting it in video form. From there, I can also do little clips of the conversation in the form of a TikTok or a reel or a YouTube short. This is not me pulling footage from that video, although I could. I am taking one of those points and making a video on it. Same concept. Now I'm driving traffic to those other videos and posts that I am creating. I can take this and use it as a caption on a video or on a photo on my Instagram or in my YouTube community page or Facebook or LinkedIn or wherever. I can take this and use this in multiple forms. I can also take sections of it and use it as a quote graphic on Instagram. I can take sections of it and use it within the context of other passages as well. So one centralized piece of content, multiple ways. But let's look at this from a different angle. Now let's say this time I start with a video. I've come up with a really great topic, I've listed my bullet points, and I've created an effective YouTube video that I can now put out on my YouTube channel. Once it's out there, I can now repurpose this and use it in different ways. So because this was audio based, I could actually strip that audio from it and use it as a podcast episode or a bonus podcast episode. Or I can take a clip of it and turn it into an audio graphic for my Instagram channel. There's a lot of things I can do with this, but I also work smarter, not harder. So I'm gonna take this YouTube video and I'm gonna put it into a program like Descript where it's going to translate the things that I said into written word. And now I magically have an article for my website, word for word, what I said without me having to type it. And then I can just go through and correct anything that didn't properly hear inside of the program. So now I've got written content that I've already spoken and has been transcribed for me. I can then use this in a variety of different ways to show off on my social media. So let's just say I take a clip of it and I put it out as a TikTok or a reel. We talked a minute ago about how I would actually reiterate one of those points, but because it's now on YouTube, what I can actually do is I can pull up YouTube on my computer, I can take my phone and aim the camera at the YouTube channel and film a clip of it playing on YouTube. I can then use that on my Instagram stories, I can use it on my TikTok stories, I can use it to drive traffic toward the main video. There's a lot of things I can do with this that are going to work really, really well. So I'm just looking for different opportunities to be using this in terms of how I'm going to be leveraging this. And because it's a video, I can also embed it on my website or inside of articles. So let's just say I've taken the transcription from that video, turned it into an article. I can also pop the video on there and get more views on that as well. But we don't just have to limit our field to what's right around us. We can get creative with this as well, because you've now created that one piece of content, whatever you started with, you can use this to market to drive traffic to it. So let's say I am writing a really cool article, but it's not being published just yet. I can now go on my stories. I can go behind the scenes. I can show myself typing it and say, hey, this thing is coming. Or I can show off myself recording the video and say, hey, this thing is coming, or give a really valuable point from it, or I can talk about how I created this piece of content. So now I have the content, but I've got behind the scenes from the content, and I have the how I created this to get people excited for the release of that content. It's the same stuff, we're just marketing it and packaging it a little bit differently to get you more content for other platforms and drive traffic back to this big main thing that you're going to be working on. And don't forget, all of these things are really good to be putting in your YouTube community page. Now, I have videos on why this is so significant to you and why this is really going to help build up your platform and your community and grow you on YouTube, but you want to make sure that you are also leveraging that to market these things. So you can be showing off these different things in terms of posts, videos, behind the scenes. You can create a GIF that you can put out there. You can use polls to gauge people's interest in these things. There's a lot of different things in terms of the YouTube community tab that you can't get on other social platforms that will allow you to engage with your audience and to grow what you're doing and to prep them and get them ready to see these things and to then get them to watch them or engage with them after the fact. So I highly recommend that you are doing that as well inside of what you are doing with your social content on your platform. Like I said, you do not have to get overwhelmed with this. A lot of people think about these big picture overarching umbrellas of all the work that they have to do, even though they're just creating one thing and leveraging it in different ways, and it overwhelms them. Please don't get overwhelmed with this. You focus specifically on the one piece of content you're creating, the one thing that you thought of, that idea that sparked in your mind, and create that. Don't worry about anything else. All of that will come after. Once you've created that piece of content, you have it and can now leverage it. Now you have the ability to think outside of the box and how else you can be using this content in terms of transcribing it, in terms of turning it into audio, in terms of turning it into video, in terms of marketing, in terms of using your stories strategically in order to get people to check things out and link to things and all of that stuff. You can use this one centralized idea to spin off into 20, 30, 40 different pieces of content if you want, but you do not have to. So do not overwhelm yourself with this. Think of the one centralized thing and then build out from there. And as you do more of that, you're going to get better at it. It's going to be easier for you to repurpose this and use it in different ways. And it's just going to spin out so that you do not have to do a ton of work to get a ton of content from this. Now, if you enjoyed this, hit the subscribe and notification bell. I'm dropping tips and tricks on how you can level up on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and your live streaming, and with the tools and resources that you need to save yourself time on social media, because we don't want you spending all this time and effort creating marketing content. We want you running your business. So let me help you save time and effort on your social media. Follow along for more tips and tricks and really cool strategies that you can use to save your time and effort so you don't have to stress about your social media. Drop your questions down below and I'll see you in the next episode.